In every battle, there are two opponents. One stands before you with sword in hand. The other hides inside you, whispering, shaking, weakening. I am Miyamoto Musashi, and I tell you now, the true enemy is not the warrior across the field. It is the fear within. Before I fought any man, I first fought the fear of loss, the fear of failure, the fear of humiliation, the fear of death. Those who cannot defeat this invisible enemy are already lost before the first strike. Understand this. Fear is more deadly than any blade. It tightens your muscles. It clouds your mind. It turns skilled hands into trembling fists. I saw it countless times. Strong men who trained for years, crumbling in seconds because their fear defeated them before I ever had to. But why do we fear loss so much? Because we attach our worth to outcomes. Victory means we are good. Defeat means we are worthless. This is the great lie. Your worth is not tied to any single battle. You are not your victories. You are not your defeats. You are what you become through facing them. Musashi's greatest lesson is simple. You cannot live freely, you cannot fight powerfully, until you sever the chains of fearing loss. Loss is not death. Loss is not shame. Loss is transformation. The man who can lose and still stand. The man who can fail and still fight. That is the man the world cannot conquer. Today, you and I will walk together into this battlefield of the mind. We will expose the fear of loss for what it truly is, an illusion. And once you see it clearly, it will lose its grip on you forever. Remember, you are not born to live in chains. You were born to master them and to shatter them. Let us begin. I did not become Miyamoto Musashi by winning every battle. I became Miyamoto Musashi by learning from every failure. Understand this. True strength is not gifted by easy victories. It is forged, hammered, and tempered through the fires of defeat. As a young boy, I lost. I lost fights. I lost opportunities. I lost face. But I did not lose heart. Every time I fell, I rose. Every time I was beaten, I studied. Every time the world said, "You are not ready," I trained harder until I was. You must learn to see failure not as an enemy, but as a master teacher. A brutal teacher, yes, but the only one who can forge you into something unbreakable. Each defeat is a mirror. It shows you where you are weak, where you hesitate, where you fear. And only when you see these truths without excuses, without lies, can you begin the true work of mastery. Most people fear failure so much that they never test themselves. They dream of greatness, but stay in the safety of mediocrity. They polish their image while their spirit withers. But Musashi did not hide from defeat. I welcomed it. Every failure carved away weakness. Every setback hardened my resolve. Every loss was a step closer to invincibility. The blacksmith does not cry when the blade bends under the hammer. He strikes again, and again, until steel replaces softness. You must do the same with your spirit. If you fear failure, you remain soft. If you embrace failure, you become steel. And one day, when the true test comes, the real duel, you will stand unshaken. Not because you were never broken, but because you were broken and reforged. Forged through failure. Stronger than fear. Sharper than doubt. Ready for anything. Not every battle can be won, but every spirit can remain undefeated. I am Miyamoto Musashi, and I tell you, losing a battle is nothing. Losing yourself, that is everything. Throughout my life, I lost fights. I lost students. I lost opportunities. There were days when the world called me a fool, a failure, a madman. But they could not touch the only thing that mattered, my spirit. A true warrior does not measure his worth by victory alone. Victory can be stolen by fate. It can be denied by circumstance. It can be delayed by time. But the integrity of your spirit, the strength of your will, can only be surrendered by you. When you tie your identity to winning, you make yourself fragile. Every setback becomes a blow to your soul. Every defeat feels like a death. This is weakness. This is bondage. But when you tie your identity to discipline, to growth, to resilience, you become indestructible. You understand that a lost battle is not a lost life. It is a lesson. It is a sharpening. It is a forge. I fought men who were technically stronger, faster, better trained. Yet they lost because they tied their self-worth to the outcome. When they began to lose, they collapsed inward, crippled by the fear of being seen as less. I did not collapse, because even if I fell, I never surrendered my essence. You must decide, will you be a warrior only in victory, or will you be a warrior in defeat as well? The world can strip away your titles. It can take your possessions. It can break your body. But if you refuse to lose yourself, You are already victorious. Every true warrior understands. The only true loss is abandoning your principles, your discipline, your spirit. Guard these with your life, and even in defeat, you will stand taller than kings. Fear is not your master. It is your mirror. I am Miyamoto Musashi, and I tell you, fear does not control you unless you allow it to. It merely shows you who you are. Every time you feel fear, before a duel, before a decision, before a leap into the unknown, you are not facing an external enemy. You are facing a reflection of your doubts, a reflection of your attachments, a reflection of the limits you believe in. The cowards see fear and flee from it, thinking it is a wall. The fools see fear and deny it, pretending it does not exist. But the warrior, he stands before fear and stares into the mirror. He studies it. He listens to it. He learns from it. Why do you fear losing? Because you believe your worth comes from winning. Why do you fear change? Because you believe comfort means safety. Why do you fear failure? Because you believe mistakes diminish you. These are illusions. Fear only reveals the chains you still carry inside, the attachments you refuse to let go, the lies you continue to believe. When you see fear as a master, you obey it. You shrink. You retreat. You abandon your path. But when you see fear as a mirror, you gain knowledge. You understand where you are weak. You understand where you must grow. You understand what you must destroy within yourself. During my years wandering as a Ronin, I sought no titles, no comforts, no praise. I sought only the edges of fear. I placed myself in the wilderness. I faced death without flinching. I stripped away every illusion until fear had nothing left to show me. And when I stared into that final mirror, I found not a trembling boy, but an unshakable man. You must seek the same. Every time you feel fear rising in your chest, do not flee. Do not deny. Stand still. Look directly into it. Ask it, what attachment do you threaten? What lie are you exposing? And then with clarity walk through it. The mirror will crack. The illusion will shatter. And on the other side, you will find a version of yourself that fear can no longer command. A version of yourself that can move freely, think clearly, act decisively. A true warrior. Fear is not your enemy. It is your teacher. And when you master the lessons it offers, no battlefield, not in war, not in life, not in your own mind, will ever defeat you. Stand before the mirror. See yourself clearly. And walk forward, untouchable. Fear is born from attachment. I am Miyamoto Musashi, and I tell you, the man who clings to nothing fears nothing. The more you hold, the more you fear. You fear losing wealth, because you cling to it. You fear losing status, because you cling to it. You fear losing love, because you cling to it. Attachment is the seed from which fear grows. When you build your identity around possessions, titles, relationships, you build it on sand. A single wave can wash it all away. And when that wave comes, and it will, you will not only lose what you clung to, you will lose yourself. This is why I taught, in all things have no preferences. I carried no unnecessary possessions. I wore simple clothes. I lived with the awareness that everything in life is temporary. Every victory, every comfort, every attachment. When you internalize this truth, fear dissolves. If you hold nothing too tightly, nothing can break you. When you face an opponent on the battlefield, the greatest weakness he can exploit is your attachment. Attachment to survival. Attachment to pride. Attachment to reputation. He knows that if he can threaten what you cling to, he can control you. But if you hold nothing, you are untouchable. You are free. You can move with clarity because nothing binds your spirit. You can fight without hesitation because you have already accepted every outcome. You can endure any loss because your soul is not tied to fleeting things. Understand, letting go does not mean apathy. It means mastery. It means choosing to value your spirit over your possessions, your integrity over your victories, your inner peace over external validation. Look at your life now. What are you clinging to? What would destroy you if it were taken away? These are the chains you must break. Release your grip. Stand firm with empty hands and a full heart. Then nothing in this world will have power over you. The man who holds nothing fears nothing. And the man who fears nothing wins everything. Let go, stand free, and walk your path with the strength of a spirit that no loss can touch. Every loss is a hammer strike upon your soul. I am Miyamoto Musashi, and I tell you, you are the blade. Life is the forge. And each defeat, each setback, each fall, carves you into something sharper, something greater. Weak men flee from the forge. They run at the first sign of failure. They curse the heat. They fear the hammer. But the warrior, the true warrior, steps willingly into the fire, because he understands. A blade that has never been struck is weak. A sword that has never been heated will shatter in real battle. Your spirit must be tempered. It must be folded, beaten, and sharpened again and again. Every failure you endure, every humiliation you suffer, every dream that collapses before your eyes. These are not signs of weakness. They are the necessary blows that shape you. When I lost a duel in my youth, I did not see it as disgrace. I saw it as refinement. When I wandered without home, without wealth, without recognition, I did not curse my path. I saw it as the necessary polishing of my edge. The man who only knows victory becomes soft, arrogant, fragile. The man who has faced loss and risen again becomes something else, something unbreakable. He becomes a blade that cannot be dulled by the trivial battles of life. He walks into challenges without fear, because he knows, whatever happens, he will emerge sharper. You must learn to welcome the strikes, to stand firm when the hammer falls, to smile at the heat of the forge. Every rejection is a test of your resolve. Every failure is a lesson in resilience. Every loss is a gift if you have the eyes to see it. Sharpen yourself with discipline. Temper yourself with hardship. Polish yourself with persistence. And one day, when others break under pressure, when others crumble at setbacks, you will remain sharp, unshakable, deadly in purpose. A blade honed not by luck, but by endless trials. Each loss carves you. Each scar strengthens you. And with each cut, each fall, each rising, you become something the world cannot break. A warrior forged by fire. A blade no enemy can dull. A spirit no defeat can claim. Step back into the forge, and let the hammer of life make you invincible. In the eyes of the world, losing status, approval, or comfort feels like death. But I am Miyamoto Musashi, and I tell you, these are not true losses. They are illusions you must shatter. Most men live not by their own will, but by the fragile approval of others. They measure their worth by titles, applause, and the softness of their lives. They crave comfort like a beggar craves bread. And so they build cages for themselves, gilded, polished, but cages all the same. When they lose status, they crumble. When they lose approval, they despair. When they lose comfort, they retreat. This is weakness disguised as success. Understand this. Status is a shadow. Approval is a wind. Comfort is a drug. None of these are solid. None of these are real. And none of these are worthy of your spirit. When I left behind the world of titles and recognition, I chose freedom over fame. I chose mastery over applause. I chose hardship over comfort. Because I understood, if you fear losing status, you are already a slave. If you need approval to act, you have surrendered your sword. If you seek comfort above growth, you have forsaken your path. The warrior's worth is not determined by the crowd's cheers. It is forged in silence, tested in solitude, proven in adversity. When you lose status, you gain humility. When you lose approval, you gain authenticity. When you lose comfort, you gain resilience. Every false thing you lose strips away another chain. Every hollow attachment you shed makes you lighter, faster, deadlier. Ask yourself, would you still walk your path if no one praised you? Would you still pursue your purpose if no one noticed? Would you still fight for mastery if it brought you no comfort? If your answer is yes, then you are already stronger than the masses. You are walking the warrior's road. The path where loss is not a tragedy, but a sharpening. Where shedding illusions is not a defeat, but a victory. Lose the world's approval. Lose the world's comforts. Lose the world's titles. And in their place, find something that can never be taken. Find your spirit. Find your true power. Stand alone if you must, but stand free. Fear will never leave you. But I am Miyamoto Musashi, and I tell you, you must act anyway. The weak believe they must eliminate fear before they move. They waste their lives waiting for courage to descend like a blessing from the heavens. But the warrior knows, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is action taken while fear whispers in your ear. You must act despite fear, because fear is not a wall blocking your path. It is a mist, thick, deceptive, but powerless if you walk through it. When I faced my deadliest duels, fear whispered of death, humiliation, failure. But I stepped forward anyway, not because I was fearless, but because I had decided. Action is a decision, not an emotion. You do not wait to feel ready. You move because the path demands it. And with every step through fear, fear loses its grip. The mind rebels against action. It screams, wait, think longer, prepare more. But preparation without action is cowardice in disguise. You prepare just enough, and then you strike. Because hesitation feeds fear. Movement starves it. In battle, the fighter who hesitates dies. In life, the man who hesitates withers. Your dreams, your ambitions, your destiny, they are all waiting on the other side of fear. You cannot think your way to courage. You must act your way there. Each time you move forward despite trembling hands, despite a racing heart, despite the uncertainty, you grow. You become stronger, more certain, more unstoppable. I tell you, fear never truly vanishes. Even I, Musashi, felt its shadow, but it became so small, so irrelevant, that it could no longer command my sword, nor my spirit. You must stop waiting for fear to leave. You must stop waiting to feel brave. You must step forward. Speak when your voice shakes. Fight when your legs tremble. Create when your mind doubts. The more you act despite fear, the more fear becomes a background noise you barely notice. And one day, you will look back and realize, fear was never the true enemy. It was only a test you passed with every courageous step. Walk forward, through the mist, through the lies, through the trembling. Act, and discover that the power you sought was always already yours. Fearlessness is not a gift from the gods. It is a discipline, a mastery forged through countless battles within. I am Miyamoto Musashi, and I tell you, fearlessness does not mean you feel nothing. It means you command what you feel. The inexperienced man believes that true warriors are born without fear. This is a lie. Even the greatest warriors feel the tremor of uncertainty. Even I, standing on blood-stained fields, felt fear's cold breath against my neck. But here is the difference. The coward obeys fear. The fool denies fear. The warrior masters fear. Mastery over fear does not come by chance. It is a conscious decision made daily, made hourly, made in every moment when doubt creeps in. Mastery over fear is built like a fortress, stone by stone, through facing uncertainty head-on, through enduring humiliation without breaking, through moving forward when everything inside screams to retreat. Each time you act despite fear, you place another stone. Each time you refuse to surrender to panic, you build higher walls. Each time you rise after a fall, you strengthen your foundation. Until one day the fear still comes, but it finds no weakness to enter. It knocks at the gates of your mind, and finds them sealed. It howls at the edges of your spirit, and finds you unmoved. You must not seek a life without fear. That is fantasy. You must seek a spirit that moves freely regardless of fear. Imagine a battlefield. One man waits for the fear to leave before he moves. He hesitates. He dies. Another man acknowledges the fear and moves anyway. He lives. He conquers. This is the path. This is the way. You are not broken because you feel fear. You are broken only when you allow fear to command you. Train yourself to stand in the storm. Train yourself to hear the lies of fear and act with truth anyway. Mastery means you are not ruled by the trembling of your hands, not ruled by the doubts in your mind, not ruled by the noise of the crowd or the whisper of your own weaknesses. Mastery means your purpose speaks louder than your fear. Your discipline outshines your doubts. Your courage moves faster than your hesitation. This is the fearlessness of Musashi, not an empty absence of fear, but a blazing fire of mastery over it. Forge this within yourself, and no force in this world will ever stop you. Victory is not a matter of force alone. It is a matter of spirit. I am Miyamoto Musashi, and I tell you, the man who fears nothing loses nothing, and the man who loses nothing wins everything. You must understand, true power comes not from what you can grasp, but from what you can let go. When you no longer cling to outcomes, victory is inevitable. When you no longer crave approval, confidence becomes unshakable. When you no longer fear loss, freedom becomes limitless. In battle, I never fought for trophies, for applause, for reputation. I fought for mastery of myself. This is why I could walk into any duel calm, composed, already victorious before a blade was drawn. My enemies fought to protect their image, their pride, their possessions. I fought with nothing to lose, and so they collapsed while I remained. To lose nothing is not to own nothing. It is to need nothing, to be unchained by fear of loss, unburdened by fear of judgment, unmoved by fear of change. When you reach this state, your enemies lose before the fight even begins, because they fight with chains around their hearts, and you fight with a free soul. Look around you. The world is full of men chained by invisible fears. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of poverty, fear of standing alone. They sacrifice their dreams to avoid discomfort. They betray their true nature to seek approval. They abandon greatness to maintain the illusion of safety. But the man who embraces loss as a teacher, who accepts that all things are temporary, who welcomes uncertainty like an old friend, that man cannot be controlled. He cannot be broken. He cannot be defeated. You must become that man. Burn away your attachments. Strip yourself of false identities. Stand naked before the chaos of life. Strong, calm, untouchable. Lose the need for comfort. Lose the need for applause. Lose the fear of beginning, the fear of falling, the fear of standing alone. Lose everything you think you must cling to, and you will discover that you have lost nothing of real value. You have gained everything that matters. Discipline, freedom, unstoppable spirit. The world cannot give you these things, and the world cannot take them away. Walk forward now, not to seek victory but to embody it, not to chase greatness but to live it, not to conquer others but to master yourself. Lose nothing. Fear nothing. Win everything. That is the way of the silent warrior. That is the path of Musashi. And it can be your path too, if you dare.